Hello and welcome to the Spotlight Show. I'm your host. My name is Jabez Napoleon Ogbole, and always excited to spend my Sunday evenings with you. And because we have viewers from across the globe, I want to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on your time zones and wherever you may be. Welcome to the Spotlight Show. And remember, we're broadcasting live from the city of Toronto in the GBKM TV network. So thank you once again, and please, right now we're on live on YouTube and Facebook. Our handle is at GBKM TV or GBKM FM. So thank you once again. Yes, today is going to be a very, very wonderful show. And I just want to say thank you for taking out your busy schedule. If you're joining me from your mobile devices, your tablets, your laptop, TVs, wherever you may be, if you're on the road, if you're at home, if you're at work, I want to say thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Definitely, this show is made possible by viewers like you. And I'll do a quick shout out to those our constant supporters. You can see them on the screen right now. I want to say thanks to African Young Entrepreneur, www.ayeonline.org. Thanks to Imani's Place, www.imanisplace.org. Thanks to Pan-African Arts, Culture and Trade Institute, www.pakati.org. Thanks to Daniela Corporation all the way in the province of Alberta here in Canada. And of course, thank you to Top Run Consulting, #1 leaders in IT training and certification, here in Canada and across the world. Thank you so much, guys. So today is quite interesting. And because of the happenings around the world, I have to put a spotlight on the country called Nigeria. And today's topic is, are the current events happening in Nigeria at the beginning or the end? That's quite a very wonderful point to put out there. Is it the beginning or the end? And some people may ask me, beginning of what and end of what? It all depends on how you look at it, because the country is actually going through a lot. And that's why today we're going to focus on Nigeria. So the spotlight today is on Nigeria. What is Africa? Africa as a continent consists of 54 countries. And the total population across the continent of Africa is about 70% of the world population. Because apart from Asia, Africa seems to be the largest and most populated continent. And Nigeria is considered the giant of Africa. But people begin to wonder, are they the giant of Africa, or is the country a sleeping giant? Because you have to be a leader, you have to be a trailblazer and a pace setter. And let's look at the facts for Nigeria right now. Have they been pace setters, trailblazer, in terms of military, in terms of education, in terms of health, infrastructure, human rights? So let's go and join together, guys. And this is where we have the Spotlight Show. I always say every Sunday that this is the highlight of my weekend, spending this important time with you. It's a 30 minutes program. Today we're going to be very quick, take a look at some very important facts. And you be the one to judge. You make your own decision based on the facts that we provide. Because that's what this Spotlight Show is about. Topics of interest affecting people of African descent in the diaspora. And Nigeria is one of the most populous countries in Africa. And why we need to put the spotlight on Nigeria today. Tomorrow may be your country. So let's, come together and begin to look at these issues. So first of all, I want to talk, I'm going to put the map of Nigeria out there, just for those that may not understand. So let's put the map of Nigeria out there. The map of Nigeria out there. Let's put the map of Nigeria out there. The map. So quickly, guys, we're going to put in the map of Nigeria there, and you can see that Nigeria is strategically located. On the east, we have the Cameroon. On the north, we have Niger. And on the west, we have Benin Republic. A very wonderful location. And the current Nigeria today, is as a result of both colonial borders and obviously borders created by, so many of the military dictators that took over, after independence. So we're going to quickly take a look at Nigeria. And that's why we're showing you that now. So before we the issues affecting Nigeria today, why don't we look at the origin of the country? It's very important. For you to know your destination, you have to know your origin. So Nigeria today, was as a result of, if we go back to the 18th century, the British, the colonials, they're all over the world, looking for new frontiers and looking for new market and looking for new land to conquer, because at that point in time, this was the means of livelihood for many, many nations at that point in time. So we know that prior to becoming a country, the area currently called Nigeria was actually under the influence of the Royal Niger Company. And what's the Royal Niger Company? People always wonder. The Royal Niger Company was a trading company chartered by the British government in the 19th century. The company was formed in 1879, as the United African Company, but however, it was renamed the National African Company in 1881, and again as the Royal Niger Company in 1886. So you have to remember, this is a company chartered by the British government, and they were in charge of looking for new trade routes and looking for new lands to conquer. And when they came to this region called modern day Nigeria, they were the first. And however, in that point in time, the first colony was the Niger Coast Protectorate. So I'm going down history lane right now, guys. So it was a British protectorate in the oil rivers area of the modern day Nigeria. So you remember the Berlin Conference where the Europeans gathered and decided to, share Africa for themselves. Prior to that, where the British actually occupied at that point in time was the Oil Rivers Protectorate. Why was it called Oil River Protectorate in 1884? Because the area was once a major producer of palm oil. Okay? So that's what we have. So it was at the south of Nigeria, what we call the modern days, river state. But in the south then. Okay, so if I show you the image, let me just quickly display the next image here, and you see the the emblem. Yes, so this is the Royal Niger Company from 1879 to 1900. This was their emblem. Remember, in those days when you have ships, you need to have an emblem or a flag, to actually project what you are or what you stand for. So this was the Niger Company. This was their emblem and flag. It was a Y shape, and which represented it had the words AROS and JUS and the PAS. They were surrounded by a red ring. The Y represent the northwest, the Benue from the northeast, and the union of them both at Lokoja. So that's why I have the Y shape, which is still prevalent and is still shown in Nigerian flag today. However, when we continue down the line, in the 1900s, the Royal Niger Company, the charter was revoked by British forces, and they began to conquer the northern part of Nigeria. And we know back then, in 1903, Sokoto was taken over. Sokoto was conquered by the British, and that's when the regions, we now had two regions. We have the South Nigerian Protectorate and the Northern Nigerian Protectorate. And in 1914, we know that both protectorate was merged once the Kano and Sokoto were all conquered, and they became the Protectorate of Nigeria. And it was Frederick Lugard who took office as the governor of both protectorates in 1912 and was responsible for the unification. Okay, and if I display the next image to you, you actually see some of the emblems there. You see, we have the Niger Coast Protectorate. Let's go to the next one. After the Niger Coast, you can see this is actually the flag then that the colonials used for Nigeria. It's quite interesting to see that particular what they call the Davis Cross. According to Lugard, there was a letter from Lugard that says, okay, why did they have the the then Nigerian Protectorate have this kind of flag and emblem, in addition to the Union Jack? And what he said was that the design of the interlaced triangles is, I think, commonly called Solomon Sea. I do not know if and when it was adopted as the Sea of Islam, but it was found on the lid of every handsome goblet or jug of brass and copper covered with a design, which was captured by the troops when the Emir of Kontagora, the principal slave raider in the northern Nigeria, was defeated. I thought it an appropriate badge for northern Nigeria, and as far as I can remember, it was my own suggestion. On amalgamation of North and South, it was adopted as the emblem of United Nigeria. This was the emblem of United Nigeria then. However, this claim is disputed by several people in Nigeria, and we know that a lot of our northern brothers didn't like this particular sign. And however, that was the flag. A lot of people didn't really pay homage to this flag. Okay. Anyway, enough of the early history of Nigeria. Nigeria that we know it today now, quickly. We know in 1914, the Great Britain promulgated a constitution that gave traditional authorities greater voice in our affairs. So we actually have representation in the parliament then. In 1954, the division of Nigeria into three regions happened. So we now had, instead of the North and South and one United Nigeria, we actually had three regions, the North, East, and West region. And we know that the Western region was broken, and from there we had Midwest as well. And in 1956, the Western region became self-governing under, so the Western region was self-governing in 1956 under Chief Obafemi Awolowo as the premier. And same 1956, same thing with the Eastern region. And we have Nnamdi Azikiwe as the premier because they contested then and they became the representative of their people. And the Northern Nigeria achieved this status, okay, a few years later. And Alhaji Ahmadu Bello as the premier. However, we know that Nigeria, everybody knows that October 1st, 1960, Nigeria gained independence. So why am I telling you all this? Because it's like a preamble to actually see how the nation started. Okay. So just now, we show you the different emblem and flags of the different countries. So I'm going to quickly show you now. Let's go to modern day Nigeria. Everybody know the modern day Nigeria right now is the green, white, green flag. Yes, that's the modern day Nigeria. So this flag was actually designed and became the main flag of the country. And although when Nigeria gained independence in 1960, we know that the British monarch Elizabeth II was still held as the nominal head of state and the Queen of Nigeria. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa became the first prime minister, and Nnamdi Azikiwe was the governor general. But we know that a few years later, in 1963, Nigeria became a republic and Azikiwe became the president, guys. You know, so this is very important to see how Nigeria came about. And the phone lines are open. I know a lot of people are going to call in today because it's quite an interesting topic. A lot of people really want to begin to discuss some of these of our problems. And you know, what I really want to say is that, you know, from the beginning, Nigeria was not really set up as a, you know, as a country. So Nigeria was actually broken down by the colonials for their own benefit, guys. Okay, so when we even went into being a republic, we still had a lot of issues, and one of those issues I'm going to talk about. I'll quickly play a video before we start taking calls. I'm going to play two videos to you. The first one, because when Nigeria became independent, we know that the northern part of Nigeria was not really interested in self-governance. They were not interested in the British living. And I'll say that why, because at that point in time, who was the premier of the northern Nigeria? The premier of northern Nigeria was His Excellency Sardauna of Sokoto, and you know, Sir Ahmadu Bello. What he wanted was the empowerment of the northern part of Nigeria, first of all. You know, he believed that his own people needed empowerment. They needed to be able to fill positions of authority in the civil service and in the military. And this was his own aim at that point in time. So you know what? Before we talk about unification of the country, before we go talk about independence, we need our northern brothers to be positions of authority, various, you understand? Because at that point in time, remember, it wasn't a nation, it wasn't a country. It was three separate regions. The north was all governed, you know, by the Fulanis, you know, and Islam was the main religion then, and the south had different religion and Christianity. So with the unification of the country, although it worked for the British, because they had the military strength, they had an agenda. But I wonder if our nationalists at that point in time, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Nnamdi Azikiwe, if they had a vision of what they wanted Nigeria to be. Because I'm wondering if they were alive today, and the Nigeria we see today, was it the same Nigeria they envisioned? So let's quickly play a video, and let's begin to have this discussion. So I'm going to quick play a video for you. It was an interview done by His Excellency Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello, back in the 50s.
One thing I've noticed, Premier, while I've been here, is that Northerners seem to have, I might almost call it, obsession about the Igbos. Could you perhaps explain that to me?
Well, the Igbos are more or less the type of people whose desire is mainly to dominate everybody. If they go to a village, to a town, they want to monopolize everything in that area. If you put them in a labor camp as a laborer, within a year they will try to emerge as headman of that camp, and so on. Well, in the past, our people were not alive to their responsibilities, because you can see from our northernization policy that in 1952, when I came here, there weren't 10 northerners in our civil service here. Then I tried to have it northernized, and now all important posts are being held by northerners.
Is this policy of filling all key posts in the north solely with northerners and not with other Nigerians a temporary or a permanent one?
In actual fact, what it is a northerner first. If you can't get a northerner, then we take an expatriate like yourself on contract. If we can't, then we can employ another Nigerian, but on contract too. This is going to be permanent, I should say, as far as I can foresee, because it will be rather dangerous to see the number of boys who are now turning from all our learning institutions, coming out with having no work to do. I'm sure whichever government of the day might be, it will feel rather embarrassed, and it might even lead to bloodshed.
Doesn't this damage the idea, sir, of all people in all regions in Nigeria being fellow citizens of one country?
Well, it might, but you are, I mean, new to our region, but how many northerners are employed in the east or in the west? The answer is no. And if there are, there may be 10 laborers employed only in the two regions.
One thing
All right, guys, welcome back. So, I mean, you saw that video. That's the Sultan of Sokoto, His Excellency Samatu Bello, speaking about the Northern agenda at that point in time. You know, so, I mean, Nigeria became independent in 1960. You know, the northern part of Nigeria had their own agenda. The east and the west, I'm sure, had similar agenda as well. But unfortunately, the self-government that the Nigeria fought for, the nationalists fought for, from 1960, 6 years down the line, you know, there was a military coup. And this military coup was, you know, the first in Nigerian history, and it was, you know, Major General Aguiyi Ironsi became the military head of state and suspended, you know, this First Republic, this government of, you know, Nnamdi Azikiwe and Tafawa Balewa. And when this happened, there was an interview as well. So let's look at the interview from the first president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, after the coup that was, you know, committed by General Aguiyi Ironsi. Let's see what he has to say, because, you know, we are going on a journey. Let's see the foundation of the country and see if we are on the right track. So we have that video. We're going to quickly play it to you. Very short video, 2-3 minutes long. Let's watch it, and that way we open our phone lines and we get the calls coming in.
From the information at my disposal, the cabinet decided to transfer power to him as the general officer commanding the armed forces. It means an abdication of power, and it means then the suspension of the president, the prime minister, the 4 regional governors, and the 4 regional premiers. In other words, the civilian authorities have found it impossible to maintain law and order, and have transferred same to the military authorities until law and order can be maintained.
Are you or your cabinet setting a time limit on this assumption of power?
I'm not in position to say because I wasn't there, but the acting president, in a telephone conversation to me, merely mentioned that cabinet met and unanimously and voluntarily agreed to abdicate power. I'm assuming, in the light of previous practice elsewhere in the world, that it will be temporary.
But this military government could last 6 months or a year or even 2 years.
That's been the case in other parts of the world, and I won't rule that out.
Mr. President, do you think it was a coup or a mutiny?
From what we have read from what I have read in the papers or seen in the televisions, some say it's a coup, some say it's a mutiny. But I doubt if it's a coup on the evidence available, because a coup would imply an attempt to overthrow the legally constituted government. That evidence is yet to be forthcoming. But what we know is that some soldiers in some parts of the country are in control, and others are in control. Well, some people call one group rebels, they call others loyalists. Well, you can take your pick there. But so it might appear to be mutiny, but I wouldn't say that it's either a coup or a mutiny. What I would say is that there is a sort of insurrection, or there is disorder in Nigeria, which the civilian authorities find impossible to contain.
When the Nigerian cabinet met, the British High Commissioner was present. Is it likely that the Nigerians there asked for help, which hasn't yet been transmitted to this country and to yourself?
In the first place, the principle of inviting the head of a diplomatic mission to attend a cabinet meeting of a friendly nation can be criticized. But in view of the nature of emergency prevailing, maybe it can be excused in the circumstance. But Sir Francis Cumming Bruce himself was reported to have said that the cabinet did not ask for military assistance. That may be so, it may not be so. If it is so, I'm afraid it will be a bit awkward to Britain in view of the fact that the present government has refused to use force in Rhodesia. From the information at my disposal.
All right, guys, welcome back. Yeah, so that was the video, that was an interview done by, the first president of the Republic, the Donald Azikiwe, talking about the coup. But remember, the coup was a very bloody coup because when the first coup happened in 1966, the premier of the northern region, Amadou Bello was killed, and Tafawa Balewa, the prime minister, was killed as well and several other prominent Nigerians. A lot of people saw the coup as a retaliation. A lot of people saw that coup more as a mutiny because of the bloodshed. A lot of people do not feel so. Just like what the Donald Azikiwe said just now in the video, he's not even sure if it's a coup, a mutiny, or if it was influenced by the British. But like I said, the phone lines are open, so I had to play this video to look at the history of the country and see if we're in the right path. Because right now, I'm Nigerian, even though I have my Canadian citizenship right now in Canada, but I still have affiliation to my country of birth. And the youths are very angry because since 1960 to date, there's been several coups. And all these coups, the first coup was done by, military from the eastern part of Nigeria, but all of that coups were all done by military from the northern part of the country. And we see the way we refer in Nigeria, the eastern part, the northern south, the northern part, the south, etc. So what's your opinion? Do you think the current events that happened in Nigeria recently, first of all, was the End SARS movement? They were protesting about police brutality, looking for a better, yes, those are some of the images from the protests across the country, and not just the country, across the globe. So like I said, the phone lines are open. Let's begin to talk about this issue. Do you think this event is the beginning of a new Nigeria? Whereby we can have dialogues with our leaders, whereby we can be consulted, or do you think it's the end of the old Nigeria? So the phone lines are open. Call in and let's have this discussion. So right now we actually have a caller. Okay, let's have that caller on the phone and let's have this discussion. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. What's your name?
Hello, sir. My name is David Ajayi.
Awesome.
And I'm calling from Toronto.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in. So please tell me, you've seen the videos, you followed the show so far. My question is, at the recent event from the End SARS, which people believe is just a slogan for a change, drastic change and reformation of all sectors, do you think it's the beginning of a new Nigeria? Or do you think there's no way forward for the country?
I would say this has never happened in Nigeria, as it were. And a wise man said, when a goat is pushed to the wall, that's when you know a goat can bite. So I think everyone is being pushed to the wall now.
Okay.
And we're seeing that what is happening now is a result of people wake up in Lagos. We are blessed to be in this part of the world.
Okay.
Or we are blessed to grow up in a household where we probably will not be in the front line just the way they are right now.
Okay.
Maybe we'll have some limitations. But some people leave their homes every day, and they don't know what to do. It's like, I'm just going out. I'm just going out because I need to leave the house. I'm not even aiming at anything anymore because they've aimed at getting jobs or whatever, and they have not been able to get a job. So they go out not because they want to get a job. They just go out because they need to leave the house. How on earth would a 30, 40-year-old man still be living in his parents' house? That is absurd. That is something that everyone should cry about when you hear it. And another thing is this: how would you see a politician? If I go on air today, if I'm on your show right now, sir, and I say I just killed somebody on Western Road, the police will come after me. How on earth would a politician go on air and say he has just committed a crime and there's no justice system to hold him to account? The palliatives that were given to people because of COVID-19, people stocked it in their storehouses. And a politician came out and said, I was going to give it on my birthday. How did palliative become his birthday present to people? So that is a crime that he just confessed to on air. So this person is working a free man.
Yeah. So, sir, so is your opinion that the country is not united, or certain people believe they are above the law? What is the cause of these problems?
The country is, we're getting there, but we're not there yet. But when a man is hungry and you promise him food, that's all he needs. When a man is hungry, all you need to promise that person is food. And the person will do your bidding. Unfortunately, and there is this, the greatest weapon of warfare is to starve your enemy of something, mostly food. When you starve them of food, you weaken them. Now, Nigerian youth and a lot of people who don't have jobs, they have been pushed to a point where they don't have food to eat. You don't have anything. If a politician comes and says, "I'll buy you food," that is why a politician will go to the line and give people $50 or 50 naira rather for them to vote. And they vote and say, "Okay, this is all I'll get anyway. The government is not working for me, so I better get what I can get because I'm not able to get anything from them."
But so far the youths, like you said, for the first time in history, the youths have risen up. And the youth, and what do you think is the motive? Because one thing that a lot of people are talking about now in the international press and even back in the country is that, this protest or uprising, there's no leadership. And but the youths are saying we do not need leaders because we have elected officials in state assembly, national assembly, and senators. They are our leaders. So why are you looking for new leaders again? And what's your opinion with regards to this approach that they are taking, whereby there's really no face to the new demonstrations?
When the youth start saying they have a leader, when the youth start saying they have a leader, that's why we begin to have a problem. Because when the youth start saying they have a leader now, because of this height of corruption in that country, Michael Duffy in Canada almost went to jail because of $70,000. When the youth begin to have a leader, it just takes one person to break out and take kickback from the politician. So we're saying having a leader is not the issue now.
Okay.
Having a leader is not we need to get to a point where we say, okay, we are well united now to fight this thing all front. It's not for one leader to say, okay, I'm the leader of this group. Everybody, that is when you now start seeing politics amongst this whole thing. Everyone knows, I'm the leader, the other person, I'm the leader. And when that starts, that is the end of this movement.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think a leader in this matter is what we need right now.
So what do you think the government of the current government should do? Because this is a democratic elected government, and for the first time, the youths are protesting. We saw some videos online whereby live ammunition was used on the protesters. There's been so many extrajudicial killings, and what do you think is the solution to the problem? Some people are calling for a divide, that Nigeria, the current Nigeria we know today, was formed for the economic of the colonial, which is the British Empire. Do you think a referendum needs to happen? Do you think the nation needs to separate? What is that? Because people are saying that leadership is always, centered in the north, and whereas even with all the leaders that come from the northern part, Nigeria economically, infrastructure-wise, nothing has been put forward to help the country progress and be developed. So
if we're waiting for a leader, if we're waiting for our leaders to do something, then we'll wait for the longest time. Because our leaders will not do anything about this. So we need a referendum. We need a point where even the international community need to come into the picture. Why is the international community not coming into the picture now? Why would the international community be so engrossed when it happens in other nations of the earth? But now it's turning to Nigeria. We don't seem to hear anything from all the leaders of the world to say, okay, this thing, we have to also come into this picture. Until somebody comes, which youth do not have, if the government decides to take arms and start shooting just like they did in Lekki, what do we do? How many children, how many parents want their children to go and die like that? So if we're waiting on Nigeria leaders to do anything, we'll wait like forever.
All right. Thank you so much for calling to the program. Your inputs are very, very thought-provoking, and we really appreciate your time that you spent with us today. And I hope the leaders out there are listening to, Nigerians, home and abroad in diaspora, they are all complaining, and it's high time that you take, effective leadership, because people don't believe in this leadership anymore. So thank you once again for joining, sir, and we hope to hear more from you again.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, all the viewers across the globe, you heard from one of the callers based in Toronto. Yeah, you know, a lot of people are not happy. Even with the NSAS movement, there's so much, publicity. We have so many, the celebrities, even homegrown celebrities who have taken the nation to a higher heights in terms of entertainment, from Burna Boy to Tiwa Savage. And we have international artists from Beyonce, Chance the Rapper, even the heavyweight boxer, Anthony Joshua. Everybody is speaking up and people are getting tired. And I do not understand. And I believe this is the end of the old Nigeria and this is the beginning of a new Nigeria, because this is how revolution starts. People are saying a lot of stuff that the protests do not have leadership, they do not have support. Remember, protests cannot happen without support. They have support. Don't say that. I've spoken to people from all walks of life. Some people call the protesters hooligans and whatnot, and those people say they're uncoordinated. You have to understand, guys, that there's so much poverty in this rich country. The country is so rich because it's very hard for you to see an ex-politician who is broke. Once they go into public office, they come out, they become multi-millionaires. So the nation is prosperous. It seems the wealth is only concentrated in the hands of the few. And that's why people are protesting. You understand? Because a prosperous nation is a nation whereby people can be able to fend for themselves. And I don't think the demands of these issues are ridiculous. Because otherwise, nobody knows what's going to happen. Okay, guys, so this show is such an interesting topic. Our phone lines are calling, but we do not have time to take these calls. I think we have to do a part 2 to this discussion to allow for more discussion. And I have to take you guys through the journey of Nigeria, because a lot of people don't really understand how Nigeria started and the basis for forming that country. It was never out of patriotism. Yes, it was never out of the need, you understand, to empower the people. It was never that. That's what I found out from my own research. So guys, leaders, wherever you may be listening, because they are all human beings, they are all Nigerian. Today, you may have the opportunity to not develop your nation because you have the advantage or you have the choice to be able to travel to another country. You know, a lot of our leaders, you see them go to Europe and North America for their kids to school, for them to have medical treatment, etc. But guys, a time will come whereby, we have nowhere else to go. Then we have to fix our lines. So our phone lines are still ringing. Unfortunately, we can't take in more calls because of the time. But we're going to have a second part of this particular discussion, guys. And we'll open the phone line then to be a forum for discussion. And we'll just let people call in and then, give us their own input. So thank you once again, guys. I want to say thank you as we come to the end of this show. And I need to appreciate every one of you for your time and support. I always talk about the need for us to empower ourselves and create generational wealth, and that is what it is to be an African. You need to be able to develop new skills. That your product, that your idea, you need to be able to monetize it, guys. Network with like minds. Your network is your net worth. Okay, guys. So remember, multiple streams of incomes, guys. So remember, send me out an email, spotlight@gbkm.fm. Send me a direct message on Instagram @jbase, JAYGBES, guys. So let's continue to have this discussion. Let's continue to encourage our youth. A lot of people have lost their lost ones. It's very heartbreaking, to see your children go out there protesting for the betterment of the entire country, and some people with because they have the authority or they hold certain offices, give orders to disrupt this protest and then hijack the protest, guys. We are all calling for a better Nigeria. We only have one country of birth. Land is very scarce now, except there is war, you cannot claim other people's land, guys. So remember, be that positive impact in your home, in your community, in your country. Wherever you find peace is your country. Participate in local politics, community engagement, and of course, be your brother's keeper and be your sister's helper. Remember, you're always in the spotlight. The change you seek begins with you. Good night.
Independent broadcaster. If this sounds like you, come join our team. For more information, email your resume to career@gbkm.fm. That is career, CAREER, @gbkm.fm. It's time to turn your passion into a career. Do you believe you could host an entertaining, engaging, and thoughtful weekly show? Or are you a business person or entrepreneur interested in building a brand for yourself? Can you connect with an audience and have strong social media skills? If so, the GBKM Network would love to invite you to join our team. We're looking for driven, genuine folks who are willing to work hard as an independent broadcaster. If this sounds like you, come join our team. For more information, email your resume to career@gbkm.fm. That is career, CAREER,